Many solemn nights. Blonde moon, we stand and marvel. Sleeping our noons away. Matsuniga Taidaku. For as long as humans have looked to the heavens, the moon has been a source of wonder, mystery, and myth. In ancient legend, it was said that a man digging into the earth unearthed a glowing gem tiny at first, but growing brighter and larger with every heartbeat. It soon slipped from his fingers, floated into the sky, and became the moon that watches over us to this very day. This is the moon, the silent sentinel that bore witness to the rise of life on Earth, eons ago. The moon has secrets. Written in its silent stone is the tale of a dramatic, almost mythic past. Where did it come from? What ancient roles has it played in the evolution of life? For millennia, we stared upward and wondered. Only now do the answers begin to emerge. Forget what you thought you knew. It's time to see the moon not just as a light in our night sky, but as a cosmic archive. The secret history of the moon. Moon rocks are not merely dust and debris. They are ancient chapters torn from a book written in stardust. 50 years ago, when astronauts of the Apollo missions returned with those precious samples, we held for the first time the tangible remnants of the moon's distant past. Stones that once lay under alien skies. Stones shaped by fire, flung through the void. Stones that remember. Imagine shrinking yourself down to an atomic scale small enough to crawl into the very lattice of these minerals and to see with your mind's eye what they've seen. To glimpse moments from 4.5 billion years ago. Over the decades, geochemists have meticulously compared lunar and terrestrial samples. And the findings? Astonishing. As explained by Dr. Sarah T. Stewart, one of the leading voices in planetary science, the isotopic fingerprints, the unique elemental DNA of the Earth and the Moon are practically identical. They are not siblings. They are twins, born of the same cosmic trauma. And there's more. The volatile elements, those that vaporize easily, are missing. They have been burned away, blown into the void by immense heat. These clues don't just hint, they shout of a shared, violent origin. What cataclysm forged both Earth and Moon? What single story can make sense of all the data? Many theories have come and gone, but one has remained a dominant force in lunar science for decades. The Giant Impact Hypothesis. Rewind time to 4.5 billion years ago. The solar system was young and chaotic, a vast stellar nursery filled with fire and stone. Around our infant sun swirled a swarm of rocky bodies, perhaps 20 or more protoplanets, all jostling and colliding, clawing for survival. Earth itself had already begun to take shape, young, molten, still moonless. Then came the final blow. A rogue planet about the size of Mars entered the scene. Scientists call it Theia. For millions of years, it had wandered close, orbiting the sun along a path dangerously near Earth's own. And then, one day, fate struck. Theia collided with Earth in an impact so apocalyptic it defies imagination. To any hypothetical observer on the surface, it would have seemed like the sky itself was collapsing. A flash brighter than 1,000 suns. A roar without end. An inferno that turned oceans to vapor and mountains to plasma. Theia was annihilated. Earth's crust was shredded. A vast plume of molten rock and vaporized metal erupted into space material that would, in time, coalesce and cool. Gravity worked its eternal magic. From the wreckage, a companion was born. The moon. Not merely a satellite. Not just a beacon in the night. But a witness. A child of destruction. A co-author of Earth's destiny. The newborn Earth, cloaked in searing chaos, becomes wrapped in a dense atmosphere of vaporized rock. The planet, battered and reshaped, breathes fire into space. In the aftermath of a colossal impact, molten debris whirls in orbit around Earth, forming a glowing disk, an infernal ring of elemental chaos. Over the course of roughly 100 years, that halo of devastation begins to cool. Particles collide, melt, and merge. From this furnace of destruction, a new world is born, the infant moon, still molten, still forming. This dramatic theory, the Giant Impact Hypothesis, has dominated lunar science for decades. It offers answers to many of the moon's mysteries, its size, its orbit, its lack of volatile materials. But there's one glaring issue. If the moon came primarily from the shattered body of another world, such as the Mars-sized intruder Theia, then its composition should be distinct from Earth's. And yet, it's not. When scientists analyze the isotopes, the elemental DNA of planetary material, they discover something astonishing. Earth and Moon are near-perfect twins. Their isotopic fingerprints are indistinguishable. The Moon isn't foreign. It's family. Could the reigning theory be flawed? To bridge this contradiction, scientists have proposed bold, radical alternatives, each more astonishing than the last. The Georeactor Hypothesis. In Earth's early, volatile history, radioactive elements like uranium were far more concentrated deep beneath its surface. Over time, it's theorized that these heavy elements could have been pulled outward and gathered just beneath the crust, driven by the immense centrifugal force of a rapidly spinning planet. The result? A subterranean nuclear detonation, a natural atomic explosion. Under this dramatic scenario, material would be violently ejected into space, slowly clumping together in orbit to form the Moon. Since the source material came from Earth itself, the geochemical similarity between Earth and Moon would make perfect sense. However, there's a catch. Many doubt whether enough radioactive material could ever accumulate to produce such a powerful outburst. As imaginative as it is, this theory remains controversial. Maybe, just maybe, we're asking the wrong questions. The Synestia Hypothesis. What if the problem lies not in our data, but in our assumptions? We've been trying to fit the Moon's origin into a tidy planetary framework. But what if the Earth, in the aftermath of the impact, was no longer a planet at all? Enter the revolutionary idea of the Synestia, a term that describes a colossal, spinning, donut-shaped cloud of vaporized rock. According to this theory, the impact that birthed the Moon didn't just throw debris into orbit. It obliterated Earth's structure entirely. The force of the collision was so extreme that it melted the surface, vaporized oceans and atmosphere, and transformed Earth into a vast, incandescent torus, a hybrid between a star and a planet. For hours, the planet had no solid ground, just swirling magma and gas. The Earth became, quite literally, a planet unmade. Within this cosmic inferno, something miraculous happened. Droplets of molten rock condensed and fell like magma rain, and within the storm, the Moon began to form. Not as a separate object, but as something gestating inside the Earth's expanded body. The Moon, under this theory, was born from Earth's very vapor, cradled within the swirling Synestia. It orbited inside this blazing shell, invisible to any hypothetical observer, until the Synestia gradually cooled and collapsed, revealing the Moon's shimmering form. Over hundreds of years, the Synestia cooled, further solidifying into the Earth we now recognize. The Moon, however, would forever carry the signature of this shared, fiery genesis. The Moon didn't just form from Earth. It formed within Earth, when Earth was no longer Earth at all. And here's the astonishing part. Synestias may not be rare. In fact, they could be a natural phase in the birth of many rocky planets across the universe. We've only just begun to imagine them. The Synestia hypothesis remains unproven. But it's more than just a new explanation, it's a conceptual leap. A daring attempt to reconcile ancient rocks with cosmic violence. And perhaps it brings us closer than ever before to solving one of our oldest mysteries. Where did the Moon come from? And more profoundly, who were we before we were on Earth? The Moon keeps its secrets veiled in silence. But what else lies behind that quiet mask? What truths have we overlooked, not because they were hidden, but because we never thought to ask? What possibilities have slipped past us, not in darkness, but in plain light, shrouded only by our assumptions? Long before it became the dry, airless world we see today, the Moon may have danced with something far more ephemeral life. In two distant epochs, ancient lunar volcanoes are believed to have unleashed vast plumes of water vapor from deep within the Moon's interior. These colossal outgassings may have briefly wrapped the Moon in a fragile atmosphere, delicate, temporary, and pooled liquid water upon its surface. This was between 4 and 3.5 billion years ago. Imagine a lunar sea, still and silver under the black sky. From its surface, a young Earth rises, its oceans boiling, its continents forming, its skies flickering with lightning. Life is just beginning. And perhaps, Carried by asteroid or comet, microbial life from Earth was flung outward, crossing the void to settle in that quiet lunar pond. For a fleeting cosmic moment, the moon may have mirrored its sibling, cradling liquid water, perhaps even nurturing simple life. But it would not last. With time, its thin atmosphere would vanish into space. The surface water, exposed and unprotected, would boil away, lost forever. Life, if it ever took root, would die in silence. But the moon would continue to shape life in a more lasting way. For as Earth's axis wobbled and danced, it was the moon's pull that steadied it. Like a cosmic companion, it held our world upright, guarding it from wild shifts in climate. Without this silent guardian, Earth might have been a world of chaos, its seasons erratic, its climates inhospitable. Life, if it emerged at all, would have taken a very different path. To understand the moon is to understand ourselves. Its story is inseparable from our own. We've peeled back many layers. We've walked on its surface, touched its stones, measured its orbit. But the moon still guards its final truths, like a locked diary awaiting the right key. There are still pages left to read, still questions left to ask. And the choice is ours: will we return? Because one thing is certain: the moon will wait, as it always has, as it always will. Crafted with wonder and curiosity, inspired by science, driven by imagination. This message was brought to life by those who still look up at the night sky and ask, what else is out there?